opening statement.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, board, staff, and members of the public. After my statement, the chairman will open this meeting and explain the rules for this electronic meeting. Please keep your microphone on mute while you are not speaking. The technical support team may proactively mute participants if the microphone is picking up background noise. Board members should check to make sure the microphone is not muted before speaking. You may text me at 540-336-3948 at any time during the meeting if you need technical support, and an IT tech will call your cell phone to assist. I now turn the meeting over to Chair Allen.
Thank you, Jewel. I will call the meeting to order and read this following statement. The Loudoun Water Board is meeting today by electronic means pursuant to VA Code 223708.2 A3. Public notice and meeting access information was provided on the Loudoun Water website. A recording of the meeting is available from the board secretary. Future meetings will be in person unless indicated otherwise in the public notice. Board members wishing to speak are reminded to press unmute and identify themselves by name so that staff can accurately capture comments. The board secretary will now take a roll call attendance of the members.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Mr. Bonfils,
Here.
Mr. Buffington,
Here.
Mr. Campbell, Mr. Kelly,
Here.
Mr. Moody, Mr. Sultan,
Here.
Mr. Vega,
Present.
Mr. Yudd.
Here.
Thank you. And I will remind the members that a roll call vote will be taken after each action item.
All right. Thank you, Jewel. With that, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Someone second that?
I'll second it. This is Marty.
All those in favor, or you have to do the roll call, excuse me.
Yes, sir. That's fine. Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Bonfils,
Yes.
Mr. Buffington,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Moody, Mr. Sultan,
Yes,
Mr. Vega,
Yes.
Mr. Yudd.
Yes.
Thank you.
Board member comments. Let's start with Mr. Yudd.
Thank you, Chair Allen. Hope everybody had a great 4th of July and are okay getting through the hot weather. I just got off a call from a concerned group who was worried about drought conditions, and so I just raised that to my colleagues and to the staff. I think we'll have a good meeting today. Appreciate the convenience of being online. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yudd. Mr. Sultan.
yes. As you know, we had a CIP meeting that was quite busy. I'd like to thank the staff for setting up efficient and detailed presentations so that we could get through the agenda pretty quickly. And I'd like to thank the committee members for hopping onto the items and getting them done quickly. And last but not least, I'd like to thank whoever's supplied the breakfast. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Sultan. Mr. Buffington.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I too would like to associate my comments with Mr. Yudd's comments, and I would like to thank the staff for everything they do every day to keep Loudoun Water running as well as it is. Stay cool, my friends.
Thank you, Mr. Buffington. Mr. Bonfils.
Yes, I would like to reflect what Marty said. That was a really good CIP. Lots of great detail. We went through it very quickly and very thoroughly. So and everybody was prepared. So thank you very much. The Water Resources Committee meeting was also a very good one. It was a very busy June, all in all, and I want to thank the staff and all the board members for all their participation. And looking forward to maybe some rain and a cooler summer. My air conditioning at the house just got fixed at 2 o'clock today.
Thank you, Mr. Buffington. Mr. Vega.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Like our other board members, I want to express my gratitude to the staff for the Water Resources meeting. It was very informative. Also for the efficiency in which they summarized and synthesized all of the material that we digested on the CIP meeting. Job well done.
Thank you, Mr. Vega. Mr. Campbell or Mr. Moody, are you on? Well, I see Mr. Campbell is on. Board member
Yeah.
comments.
Happy summer, everyone. I'm glad to be here. No other comments. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Mr. Moody, is he there? All right. Yeah, I'd like to echo everyone's comments. We really need some rain. I know we're going to get an update today at the meeting about the status, but we need to get our rain dance out. We need Chairman Rocca back to do a rain dance for us. But I also want to say to everybody, have a great summer. This is we won't have a meeting until the committee meetings in August, and this is always the fastest 6 weeks of the year in my mind. So get out there and enjoy it, and that's all I have.
Mr.
General
Allen,
Manners.
did Mr. Kelly get a chance to speak, sir?
I don't think he did, Mr. Kelly.
Yeah, that's why I raised my
My
hand. I just want to
apologies.
say happy summer to everybody. Hope you survive the heat, but have a good rest of the summer.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
I even wrote everybody's name down, and I still miss Mr. Kelly, if you can imagine that. Mr. Carnes, General Manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, members of the board. Just a few items for you today. Two topics that you may have seen in the news recently. The first being the drought conditions that were brought up by Mr. Yudd, and the second being the DC Water Boil Water Advisory Notice that was issued on July 3rd and July 4th. Jessica will be touching on both of those items during her Water Resources monthly report later in this meeting. The next item is that recently the wastewater industry has seen a big win with a recent class action settlement in the flushable wipes case between Charleston Water System and Kimberly-Clark and Walmart, Costco, Target, CVS, Walgreens, and Procter & Gamble. The settlements generally require that the defendants ensure that their flushable wipes meet the National Municipal Flushable Wipes Dispersibility Test. And number two, improve its labeling of non-flushable products. This should see big improvements nationwide to reduce wipes-related sewer blockages as well as other problems. For your awareness, on Thursday, July 25th, the Dale C. Hamas Administration Building will be closed for the day. There will be critical electrical work performed as part of the Broad Run Phase 2 expansion that will require power to be shut off to the building. So we're planning for that. The public will be notified, and staff that usually report to the DCH building will telework that day. Just some ERC stats for you through June. We have 2,268 new ERCs for the year. 1,290 of those are from data centers. And then, as Mr. Allen mentioned, this is just a reminder that after this, you will be entering your August recess. So there will be no July committee meetings and no August board meeting. And we will resume with your committees at the end of August. That's it for me, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Brian. Jewel, has anyone signed up from the public to speak?
No, sir.
Okay, with that, I will make a motion to adopt the agenda. Would someone like to second it, please?
I'll second it. This is Marty.
Roll call, Jewel.
Yes, sir. Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Bonfils,
Yes.
Mr. Buffington,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes,
Mr. Moody, Mr. Sultan,
Yes,
Mr. Vega,
Yes.
and Mr. Yudd.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jewel. Board committee meetings, CIP, Mr. Sultan, you are on.
okay, the report, the minutes was 8 pages, so I tried to pare it down to the minimum for each one, so here we go. 3A was the approval of design services task order for Painian Springs and Waterford Community System. Both of those communities are unincorporated and are in close proximity with water and wastewater needs. In coordination with Loudoun County, Loudoun Water generated the design phase scope of work to be accomplished by Dewberry, utilizing EGGI as a subcontractor. The CIP committee recommended award of a design task order to Dewberry for an estimated cost of $644,295, with an approximate 5% contingency for a total authorized budget of $677,000 to be included on the board consent agenda. Next item, award of construction contract for Russell Branch Pump Station and Force Main. The Russell Branch Pump Station and Force Main will replace the existing Belmont Ridge Pump Station as a result of needs in the sewer shed and the addition of the JLMA to the Loudoun system. Bids were opened on May 15th, with Archer Weston submitting the low bid of $15,376,536. CIP committee recommended approval of a construction contract for that amount with an approximate 10% contingency for a total authorized budget of $16,914,000 to be included on the board consent agenda. Next item, approval of construction phase services task order for the Russell Branch Pump Station and Force Main. The CIP committee approved the task order for construction phase services to HDR for $1,610,000 with an approximate 5% contingency for a total budget of $1,690,000 to be included on the board consent agenda. Next item, approval of design service task order, Brambleton 600 zone water pump booster station upgrade. One of the outcomes of the 600 zone capacity analysis was a recommendation to increase the capacity of the Brambleton booster station. This task order is for the preliminary engineering study for an estimated cost of $146,500 with an approximate 5% contingency. The CI of $154,000. The CIP committee recommended that this task order be included on the board consent agenda. Next item, approval of task order North Lower Sickland Sewer Pumping Station upgrade. As a result of the addition of the JLMA to the Loudoun water system, the North Lower Sickland Pump Station needs to be upgraded to accommodate interim capacity requirements and do so without major structural upgrades. CDM Smith, an environmental BOA, was selected to provide preliminary engineering services with a 5% contingency for a total authorized budget of $168,000. The CIP committee recommended inclusion in the board's consent agenda. Next item, approval of design service task order, completion of design task, Broad Run Phase 3 expansion. The design task 2, 100% design, includes the remaining design phase of Phase 3 expansion program. The package includes expansion of the secondary treatment system as well as a new thermal drying facility. The CIP committee recommended the amendment to the Hazen and Sawyer professional services contract in the amount of $24,925,000 with a 5% contingency for a not to exceed amount of $26,200,000 to be included in the board consent agenda. Last item, award of contract for the pre-procurement of Broad Run Phase 3 project membranes. Phase 3 Broad Run project includes highly specialized hollow fiber membranes, which will interface with complex ancillary systems. As a result, vendor pre-selection during early design was necessary. Pre-selection with Veolia, the existing manufacturer, allows for consistency of operation and maintenance. The CIP committee recommended inclusion of Veolia in pre-selection for $7,636,280 to be included in the board consent agenda. And finally, Tom Levinsky presented a capital spending report through May is just under projections by about 4%. And that's all I've got.
Thank you, Marty. I would remind board members that even though a lot of these items are on consent agenda, if upon reviewing, the board packet days previous to today's meeting, there's something that you want to pull off consent and discuss, we can do that. So I don't want people to think that all these things are rubber stamped, although the committee does vet them and they all are part of the CIP. So we have all reviewed them from a general standpoint. But if there's anything that someone specifically wants to talk about, we can always do that before we approve the consent agenda. So just a reminder. Mr. Bonfils, Water Resource.
Let's see, be sure. Can you hear me? No.
Yep.
Yes,
Oh, you
sir.
can. Oh, good. Oh, good. All right. So we had our Water Resources meeting on June 24th. We began on time at 8 a.m. We had quorum there. Marty and Jack were on there. They were there. And in additional attendance was Cherry Allen and Keith Moody. There was a lot of our staff were there, but it was a really good discussion. Mark Peterson provided an overview of the meeting, introduced Pam Kennel, Jessica Edwards-Brandt, Kendra Servam, Bradley Schmitz as the team presenting for the Water Research Program. So I hope many of the other board members had a chance to look at the recording of it. There's only a brief part in the minutes. It included an extensive update of our research program, and I'd like to point out that our research program, if you compare to our peers in the immediate Mid-Atlantic area, it's head and shoulders above everyone. So it's a compliment to the team as well as to our leadership and continued leadership. The research program continues to move forward, and we'll have some more reports from this committee, this group, over the next couple of months. It's just there's just a lot going on, both on the water treatment side as well as on the water reclamation. So if you have any questions, the meeting did last the full 90 minutes, 92 actually. So we did cover a lot of ground, and it is available for replay. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bonfils. The consent agenda. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
This is Jim. I'll second that motion.
Roll call, Jewel?
Yes, sir. Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Bonfils,
Yes.
Mr. Buffington,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Moody, Mr. Sultan,
Yes.
Mr. Vega. Mr. Vega,
Yes.
thank you. Mr. Yudd,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you, Jewel. There are no action items. There's no new business or information items. So we're on to monthly reports. Ms. Deller. Finance summary.
Good afternoon. Just some highlights from the finances. As of May, our operating revenues are at 49.9 million, which is 3.6 million above our forecast. Non-operating revenues are 17.9 million above forecast. That's being driven by our strong availability fees. Expenses are under forecast by 2 million and are coming in at 63.5 million. And then capital spending, the ERC, all that data is on the next couple pages, but Brian talked about that. And then the capital spending is at 39.1 million through May out of 148 million. And then finally, cash equivalents and investments was 332 million with a weighted average yield of 3.33%. Happy to answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions on the monthly finance summary report?
It was a good report. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally.
You're
The
welcome.
water resource. Go ahead. Does somebody have a question? All right, Water
I can-
Resource Management Report.
Okay. Hi there. So I'll just get started and kind of run through some of the drought talking points for us today. So as we all know, precipitation deficit combined with the increased temperatures that we've experienced over the last several weeks have intensified the drought through Virginia, most notably within Northern Virginia and Shenandoah. So as of June, the Potomac River was not in a caution status. We would not be in a caution or alert status until the upstream reservoirs started to deplete, and that typically means that's when drought measures are enacted. So we're all the upstream reservoirs are full, so everything looks good there. And just as a side note, our central system did observe our record demands in June, which held our highest record of water that we've served to our customers at 47 million gallons a day. That was in June. And then just recently, Monday, we beat that record and served about 49 million gallons of water a day. So water demands are up and it's very hot and we're seeing that. But the Potomac and the central system should be okay moving forward into the summer, and hopefully we'll get some rain to help us out. On the groundwater, Loudon Water groundwater community systems side, for the month of June, the advisory status was green. However, because of the lack of precipitation and temperature, it will move to caution. It will move to yellow or orange in July, and we'll continue to monitor. Signage is out for even and odd watering days in those communities, and will be probably similar to what we sort of went through last year with those systems. Any questions on that?
I've got one question. Thank you for the info. There's a slide or a graphic in your report about the monitor. It's called Virginia Drought Monitoring Task Force Status Map. Yeah. And it's got the yellow and I guess a watch and warning colors, but then in there's a box. Can you tell me how best to interpret that graphic?
Yeah. It's kind of it's a unique graphic, and that's captured right before we run the report to you. So it changes almost daily, this report. But it basically shows, like, obviously our region and county, and then that's the bigger paragon of that. And then the box is supposed to sort of it's groundwater flow, precipitation, and reservoirs. And what the Drought Monitoring Task Force has done is they split up the state into all these different drought monitoring evaluation areas, and they've designated these the red, yellow, and green alert status based on different indicators that they're looking at. So for example, the groundwater, they're looking at 2 wells not anywhere near us. I can't remember exactly where they are, but it's a good indicator from a global perspective of what's going on in Virginia and a little bit in our area, but it's not specifically directed towards really what we're seeing in Loudoun County. So even with the reservoirs and precipitation, it's showing green, but it's not. Inflow is a little bit yellow. I think in this month it shows green, but they don't even look at the Potomac River in this particular report. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, that was fine. Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions on the water resources report?
Yeah, I have a quick one. So if we get kicked off the river because of the flow, I mean, how close are we to that now? And if in the next couple of weeks the flow gets so low that we get kicked off, obviously we turn to Fairfax to fill all our water needs. Is that correct?
Yeah. So right now we get kicked off. at 1,400 cubic feet per second. And right now the Potomac River is running at about 1,800 cubic feet per second. And the modeling shows that it's going to stay that way for hopefully another week or two before we'll see a downward trend. So we probably have a little time, and then we would modify our operations. So what we did last year was that we operated Trap Rock for about 12 hours a day to meet what the Broad Run discharge was. And that worked for us. And we would just use more water from Fairfax Water.
And then as a follow-up, when do they decide to release water upstream into the Potomac? Is there a certain flow rate that triggers that?
Yeah, so it's really a decision made largely by the Washington Aqueduct. We are not always involved in those discussions. Pam Kennel maybe could add a little bit more because I know she's working a little bit with the COG and the co-op on that. So we maybe have a little bit of a seat at the table, but most of those decisions are done through the Washington Aqueduct.
Okay.
I have a question. If at the time that we, as Terry said, get kicked off the river, we get more water from Fairfax, aren't they getting kicked off the river also?
No, it's because we have a permit with DEQ that dictates that during times of low flow, and that's when the river goes below 1,400 cubic feet per second, then we have to adjust what we withdraw from the Potomac to meet what's discharged into the Potomac from Broad Run. So Fairfax Water doesn't have that stipulation.
And
Okay,
Mr. Sultan, maybe to elaborate a little bit further, in our agreements for our 50 MGD supply from Fairfax Water, within that agreement is, their upstream support in the Potomac Basin to make releases and so forth. That covers us as a wholesale customer as well.
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
So how does it work, Alton? Jessica said that we were at 49 million MGD per day. We only get 50 from Fairfax. Are you saying that we can go over that 50 if we need to?
Well, that would start to push up against our capacity, but I think Jessica was mentioning that we are able to modify operations at Trap Rock and still produce some flow per day based on those modified operations where we're still achieving the return flow that's going into the river from the Broad Run facility. But that's getting close. And then, of course, as you know, we have Goose Creek as a backup as well, sort of a second stage backup to supply water to Trap Rock.
And then did I see or read somewhere that Goose Creek, the flow was at an all-time low? Is that right? I might just have dreamt that. Huh?
No, it's low, but it's not an all-time low.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions for Water Resource?
Chair Allen, I think I'm going to try and get with the staff because I just have a feeling we're going to need to be a little bit more, we as board members might need to be a little bit more conversant with some of these indicators if the weather conditions hold the way they are. And so I've read this stuff. I had my question on that one chart, but I think I'm going to have some more questions. So maybe others feel the same way, but I have a feeling some of these indicators are going to trend to the point where I know the county has water supply emergency provisions in the county code. But I just think we need to be ready for that. And I appreciate you allowing me to make that comment.
No, Mr. Yett, I think that's a good point. And I think getting ahead of it just with some data for us is always a good thing. So we don't get caught flat-footed and looking like we don't know anything. So you're right. If we don't get any, hopefully we'll get some rain tomorrow from the remnants of the hurricane, but we might be in for a tough summer. So I agree.
Mr. Chair,
What are you suggesting though?
Oh, just more specifics, I think, like Mr. Yud referred to. I know we get 50 MGD. I'm still confused. What I don't understand is that 14, if the flow gets below 1400, we can't withdraw any water from the Potomac. So how
We-
is Trap Rock
we-
producing
we
water?
c-
Explain that.
Yeah, we can only pull what Broad Run is discharging.
Okay,
So
so-
Broad Run is
so what is that?
discharging 7, so it's like they're usually discharging around 5 to 7 million gallons a day. So we would match that with what we would produce from Trap Rock, or what we would produce from Trap Rock.
So in other words, the 50 million MGD we get from Fairfax plus the 7 or 8 we're withdrawing from the river, even if the flow goes below our permitted allowance, we still have 58 million MGD, something like that, right? Per
Right,
day, and we're only
right,
at 49, so.
That's
we have
right,
a buffer.
Mr. Allen. Correct. And so the 1400 should be thought of more as a trigger to where we need to start curtailing our use to match what we're returning from the Broad Run plant.
Okay, and then we also have the ability to go to our Goose Reservoir and take water from there. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then we also have Beaver Dam would fill Goose, or,
Correct.
Good. Yeah.
okay.
Mr. Vega has a question.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up a little bit on what Charles was alluding to, and maybe add a different context, which is having a good set of talking points and data points are helpful should we get questions regarding our service area. But we also live in a community that has other water providers that are not part of our service area, that are interconnected to our system. And so the questions will get increasingly more complex as if should drought conditions worsen.
Mr. Kelly,
That's
I'm sorry,
something we
Mr.
can
Kelly's
absolutely
question.
put together for the members, especially headed into the recess. Be happy to provide you with that.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
Alton, Mr. Kelly and then Mr. Bonfield have questions.
Thanks, Jewel. Question, I just heard that we had record numbers Monday and then recently water distribution. At what point, when do we start issuing water restrictions to our customers? When does that start to ramp up, if you will, and tell people, don't water their lawn, don't wash their cars and so forth? How close are we to that? If we're not close, when do we do that?
We're not close to that. And there is a regional plan and that we would fall under. So all the Potomac River users have to stay coordinated in their efforts with water restrictions. And those discussions haven't started yet. So it would start first with voluntary conservation and then voluntary restrictions and then mandatory restrictions.
I wanted to
Well,
add.
I would add to that we have started in the sense that we do our normal requesting with voluntary, and we have a lot of messaging to our customers, both in the central system and the community systems around the voluntary, at least scaling back, doing the even and odd addresses, doing different days of watering. That we've started, but I think getting into what Jessica is, I think, getting into is then when do we get to that point of the next step, going beyond the voluntary, and there's a number of different, there's a whole regional cooperative kind of a coordination of this where we would get into a way we would do that collectively through the region and at different stages it calls for it. And ultimately, and Mr. Yud referred to this, there is an ordinance at the county that we would work with county with through the administration if we got to the point of doing mandatory. We can't ourselves do mandatory restrictions. That would be through the county's ordinance.
And I had a couple of statements to echo Jessica and Mark, and not that we absolutely are remaining vigilant and proactive about this. But this situation this year is on the heels of no 2 years are the same, but last year was very dry throughout this period. We started to hit the 2,000 CFS threshold in the Potomac River. That triggers the increased monitoring by ICPRB. We dropped below 1,400 in numerous stretches last year. And as those thresholds and triggers continue to get hit, some of that triggers some of the regional COG-led efforts on, the first conversations on water restrictions and sort of, preparing to open up in the ordinances like the county has and so forth. But all that to be said, we had I'll say a good recent trial run of all of this last year throughout the summer when it was very, very dry. And, we're continuing to learn and improve.
Mr. Bonfield has a question.
It's not all a question. When we were talking earlier, Mr. Yudd, if you're going to put together a meeting and it's going to be within the schedule, I would be happy to attend with you. I've been following the drought stuff very closely within our area as well as in the region. Second, when anybody asks me about drought and drought policy, I refer them to two places. One is to our website, the Loudon Water website, and the other, if they have further questions, is to Mark Peterson. Sorry, Mark, but everybody
No
wants
problem.
to talk to
I'm
you.
happy to take that.
So that is what I do. But it's worth it. And maybe we should do a whole session for the whole board so they understand all of these different items that come into the decisions and when they're done, if they're done. And it's a water community that exists on the Potomac. So sooner we get Milestone Reservoir going, the more independent we can be.
Thank you, Mr.
Oh,
Bonfield. It sounds to me like I think what would be sufficient in the interim would be maybe just a fact sheet that could be emailed to us that has some of these talking points and some of these data points, websites, just in case somebody emails a board member, we have something to refer to, and then we can always discuss a meeting after that goes out.
Yeah, and there's always information on the ICBRB site also.
All right. Does anyone else
Chairman,
have anything? Yes, Mr. Buffington.
Chairman, this is Tony Buffington. I just wanted to comment. I do think it would be helpful for us to have some sort of fact sheet with maybe some talking points. But I wanted to, as a new member, I just wanted to ask, so far what I've done when I've been asked specific questions from either the public or the media is I've directed them to Brian Carnes, the general manager. And I guess my question was, should I continue to do that? Or should I direct them to Mark Peterson? Or should I direct them to you, Chair Allen? I just wanted to throw that out there and see how it's been done before I came on and what the preference is. Thank you.
I think I forget if it's our policy or standard operating procedure is, I think technically everything is supposed to go through the general manager for disbursement, but it's certainly fine if you have a relationship with Mark or Alton and want to talk to them, either is fine with us. We're all happy to answer questions.
Thank you. It's definitely different than when I was on the Board of Supervisors. That was very political, so you wanted to get your own answer out. This is totally different. We want to get the right information out, just facts only, no political spin. And so I think that's a good policy to have, is to direct it to you, make sure that Chair Allen is aware, and then and handle it that way. But it definitely is also good for us to have the information as well, just to kind of follow along with. If those talking points change, and you could continue to send us updates, even though we're probably not going to really be using it, but at least it helps to keep us aware of what's going on.
Absolutely. Yep.
Thank you, Tony. All right. Hopefully, if we pay this much attention to it, the drought will end.
Yes.
Murphy's
Yes.
reverse law, I call that.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, the next monthly report is water and sewer agreements by Mr. Tran. Does anyone have any questions on that?
I just had a quick question. There's a lot of sewer going on down south, I guess in Arcola. And remind me again, the reimbursement is when it's not serving the development, and with reimbursement is when it's serving neighboring properties, or we're asking them to upsize something?
Yes, that's correct. There's really two types of reimbursement. One is oversizing, is where they need a pipe, and we're asking them to upsize it greater than the size that they need, and we're looking at it from a full build out standpoint. And so we ask them to put in the ultimate size pipe. And then the other type of reimbursement is an extension, where we're asking them to extend, to their neighbor, and they have no use, no benefit from that type of infrastructure. So
Makes sense. Okay. And the 16-inch water line that's running through Arcola, what's the largest diameter that we're using for water in the county?
I believe we have 48-inch pipe close to our treatment plant, but for the most part, we have transmission mains. Anything greater than 16 inches is a transmission main, and we have 16, 24, 36-inch, and 30-inch pipes throughout the county.
Wow, those are really big. I didn't realize we were doing them that big. That's cool. Thank you. That's it. That's my only little comment.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Tran? All right.
Since Hobie's not here, nobody ever asks about the water and sewer report anymore. Nobody cares about the water line, since Hobie's not here.
That is
I
true.
care.
Yeah, Jack cares.
Jack
That's right.
cares.
Sorry,
I
Jack.
care.
Yeah, yeah.
That doesn't mean we don't look at it, but anyway, we do not have a closed session today. Is that correct, Jewel?
That is correct, sir.
So with that, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn. This is Jim.
Second, this is Jack.
Roll call, Jewel.
Yes, sir. Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Bonfils,
Yes.
Mr. Buffington,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes?
Mr. Moody, Mr. Sultan,
Yes.
Mr. Vega,
Yes.
Mr. Yudd,
Yes.
and we are adjourned at 4:13 p.m. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Have a great summer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Have a good summer.